We're honored to be joined by Gary Torgow, the chairman of Mosaic United, one of the true leaders, I would say, of the Jewish people, and Mosaic United being something I happen to have been involved in a long time ago, but really an amazing, innovative program that's changing the way the state of Israel is engaging with the Jews of the diaspora. My pleasure to call onto the stage my friend Gary Torgow.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. An honor to be here today. I am most grateful to my good friend Yaakov Katz and the organizers of this conference for including me in the program. Let me begin by sharing with you a remarkable story told by author James Clear about a woman who attended a family gathering at her in-laws' home. She had spent years working as a paramedic, and upon arriving at the event, took one look at her father-in-law and became very concerned. "I don't like the way you look," she said. "Something seems to be wrong." Her father-in-law responded by saying, "I feel great. I'm the picture of health." No, his daughter-in-law insisted, "Something is not right. I'm sure of it. You need to go to the hospital right now." A few hours later, her father-in-law was undergoing life-saving surgery after an examination had revealed, in fact, a nearly full blockage in his major heart artery. Without his daughter-in-law's intuition, he could have died. What did his daughter-in-law, the paramedic, see in those few minutes which encouraged her father-in-law to go to the hospital? How was she able to predict his impending heart attack? The science teaches us that when major arteries are obstructed, the body focuses on sending blood to critical organs and away from peripheral locations near the surface of the skin. The result is a change in the pattern of distribution in the blood of the face. After many years of working with people with heart failure, this woman unknowingly developed the ability to recognize this pattern on sight. She couldn't explain it, but what she noticed in her father-in-law, she knew something was really wrong, and was she ever right? The human brain is a prediction machine. Whenever you experience something repeatedly, like a paramedic seeing the face of a heart attack patient, your brain begins noticing what's important. You sort through the details and you highlight the relevant cues. Speaking this afternoon amongst some of the greatest Jewish leaders of our times, living in one of the most remarkable eras in Jewish history, it should be very clear to all of us, like the daughter-in-law paramedic who saw the face of her father-in-law and recognized a significant problem. Our generation, with all of its tremendous benefits and successes, is also experiencing a Jewish history moment like no other in our history. It doesn't need me to highlight the cues. It is staring all of us in the face. Yes, it is true we are enjoying, as a people, an historic renaissance in Jewish philanthropy, in activism, and in scholarship. But we are at the same time experiencing a never-before-seen urgency across the broad spectrum of Jewish life around the entire globe. The recent Pew Study, which you are all familiar with, reports that the rate of assimilation in the diaspora and intermarriage is at the highest levels in our history. A significant percentage of the Jews in the diaspora have little or no connection to Jewish culture, peoplehood, or any real connection to the state of Israel. What we are observing is a growing crisis and a frightening abandonment of Jewish identity and faith. The previous Pew Study even remarkably told us that a significant percentage of American Jews think a sense of humor is critical to leading an enriched Jewish life. And believe me, that's not funny. The state of Israel and the state of the Jewish people around the world and their connection to the state of Israel is at an all-time low. Never before has it been more clear as you traverse any American college campus and you see how the young men and women have either lost their ties to their Jewish heritage or they are fearful of identifying themselves on campus as members of the Jewish faith. Visit any country outside of Israel, survey the philanthropic giving, where a large percentage of Jewish philanthropy is going outside of the Jewish community. Do a search across the thousands of preschool classrooms and analyze how few Jewish children are enrolling in Jewish preschools. witnessed the shrinking population in the synagogues across the diaspora. So many, after a perfunctory bar mitzvah celebration, never ever returned to the sanctuary. Like the daughter-in-law paramedic in the story that I shared, the cues and the visuals are becoming more and more clear that something is very wrong. More than 40 years ago, the State of Israel right here in Yerushalayim hosted the first international gathering of Holocaust survivors. Gathering of over 4,000 of them came from 23 countries around the globe, and there were thousands who participated from Israel itself. Then it was the dawn of the computer age. Computer terminals were made available to the participants so they could enter their family names and their cities and their countries of origin and the concentration camps they had been in, so that perhaps, as many did, they could find a friend or a relative whose survival they had been unaware of. The final ceremony took place at the Kotel. It was the late Prime Minister Menachem Begin who captured the imagination of that crowd and the Jewish world everywhere with his triumphant expression of the massive historical miracle that is the State of Israel. Mir zanen du, he said in Yiddish, we are here. Where is the emperor, he said. Where is Rome? Challenged Mr. Begin. Jerusalem lives forever, and we are here. The miracle of Israel's existence and its success, which Prime Minister Begin touted, has expanded exponentially, socially, scientifically, financially, militarily. Israel has become a resource for the entire world. But it is almost a tragic reality that in the intervening time, somehow, we have not adequately cultivated the commitment, imagination, loyalty, and the pride of a new generation in the diaspora. That is why Prime Minister Bennett, during his tenure as Minister of Diaspora Affairs, founded Mosaic United in an attempt to cultivate and inspire that third post-Holocaust generation. Not just the Zionist ideal, but the whole gamut of emotions and mores and traditions which have bound the disparate threads that are the Jewish people into the greatest comeback story in human history. Make no mistake, Birthright has done a terrific job, but so much more is needed to prevent the disengagement of a large segment of our youth beyond our borders. You might all rightfully ask, why is this the responsibility of the State of Israel? It is because Israel is not only the population center of the Jewish people, it is the spiritual and moral backbone of our unique civilization, and by recognizing that fact and educating all our children to that fact, we achieve the unity that transcends all of our differences in religious practice, in politics and lifestyle, and in our aspirations. As I have seen firsthand, Israeli leadership recognizes more and more that it has become the responsibility of Israel to invest time and effort and money to re-engage the broad diaspora Jewish community. Prime Minister said it best, Prime Minister Bennett said it best. In order to ensure the continued strength and vitality of the State of Israel and the Jewish people, we must do everything possible to bring every member of the Jewish people, wherever they are, in every corner of the globe, closer and closer to their roots. And how could we possibly accomplish this feat? By bringing more effort, more Jewish knowledge, more scholarship, more engagement, and more connectivity to the Jewish people. It has become incredibly clear and reflective of the new reality of the Jewish people that Jewish identity, knowledge, education, and tradition are the key pathways to keeping worldwide Jewry connected and deeply and indelibly aligned with the State of Israel. There is no more time for studies and analysis and consultation. Today is a time for action and must be the defining principle of this generation. It is with deep gratitude that I thank our partners in the Israeli government. It's an honor to work with the new Minister of Diaspora Affairs, Nachman Shai, who is a dedicated leader, fully committed to the strength and vitality of Jews everywhere. Because of these historic efforts during this academic year in the diaspora, as a result of Mosaic funding, over 130,000 students will participate in campus activity across 400 campuses around the world. Our Shalom Corps, a joint venture with the Jewish Agency, is providing life-changing experiences for thousands of students participating as volunteers in places across the globe. Our Israeli Abroad initiative is seeding and strengthening organic communities of Israelis in the diaspora. Just last month, for the first time ever, an organized group of Israelis came together celebrating Rosh Hashanah in Vienna and other European cities. Let me close with the following critical thought. This coming Shabbat, we will read about Abraham, Avraham, credited as the first Jew designated as our forefather. He was chosen by God, and he was instructed to leave his father's house and go to the land which I will show you. He was actually the first Jew to make Aliyah. The natural question is, why did God choose Abraham? Why didn't he just take Noah and designate him as the first among our forefathers, as the founder of Judaism? One of the answers comes from the chapter in the Torah, which is devoted to God's plan for the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. God says to Abraham, there's a couple of towns nearby that are most evil in the world. They are filled with bad people, and I'm going to destroy them. Abraham bargains, and he argues, and he pleads, and he begs God to spare these people and their cities. Previously, God had gone to Noah and said, the world is evil, and I'm going to destroy it. And Noah replies, but me and my family will be okay, right? And in more than 100 years of ark building, not one person was involved to join Noah's effort. He was not successful in decreasing the evil. That is why later Isaiah the prophet said that flood was the waters of Noach, May Noach, because in a sense it was the fault of that righteous man who did not work to change the world because he didn't see it as his responsibility. But Abraham, he modeled for all eternity the obligation that we have to each other, and ultimately for the world. He risked everything to contend with God to save people who should not have been his responsibility, and that's who we are. We are a tiny sliver of humanity who have ignited the entire world with our incandescent spark of morality, of decency, of charity, reflective of our shared obligation. The imperative of Mosaic is an expression of the Jewish ideals that have maintained us uniquely in all of world history. It's an educational effort to broaden and strengthen the next generation of world Jewry, and it's a moral imperative. Where is the emperor? Where is Rome? As Mr. Begin said, we are here, and our sisters and our brothers around the world are our responsibility. It is that charge and that effort to achieve unity, which is our generation's calling. That is who we are. And we will, with all of you and God's help, live up to this challenge of our generation. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.